On the first page of our story, the future seemed so bright. Then this thing turned out so evil. Don't know why, I'm still surprised. Even angels have the wicked schemes, and you take that to new.
Wait a minute. You married Monroe? Gina asked, jumping up from her chair. I nodded without looking away from the window. Yep. You mean to tell me that all that went on because you married him and didn't tell anybody? Oh my goodness, Ty, why didn't you say something? Do you have any idea how much of that mess could have been eliminated had you opened your big mouth and said something? Speaking of mouths, mine dropped open as I whipped around and stared at her. She done lost her mind talking to me like that. Alright, little girl, don't get snatched, I hissed at her. She folded her arms good and agitated. Please, ain't nobody scared of you. You should have been that bold 12 years ago when everybody was going against your husband for acting like a love-starved fool, while you just sat back and watched. I put my hand on my hip. First of all, I didn't just sit back and watch. It sounds so easy, don't it? But what do you know about it? You was like 2. She pursed her lips. I was 13. Old enough to know that the truth would have set both of you free. It would have. Set us free right into the hands of Dad. She waved it away. Oh, girl, please. You ain't even finna try and tell me you was scared of Dad all that time. I smacked my hand upside my head. Yeah, cuz what was I thinking? Of course I could have told Dad Monroe waited till he left, snuck me away, married me, and then made love to me. You know, Dad being the nice, big, gentle fella he's known to be. Her mouth was now hanging open. Y'all did it? She whispered with a look of wonder on her face. I turned away from her in full-blown frustration and looked back out the window at the training men on the beach. You so immature sometimes. I don't know why Malachi think you will make a decent wife. I heard her sucking her breath sharply behind me. And I know my words was cruel and that I shouldn't be taking my anger out on her, but she needed to grow up. Sometimes it was really hard to talk to her. Ain't you something? You who married a man that has loved you and been good to you your whole life and wasn't woman enough to tell your daddy. You who let your brother fall out with his best friend over a lie. You who sat on your hiney while your man's whole family looked at him in shame because they thought he was crazy. And I'm immature? I see. Jacob, she called to the little fella that came running out the dining room with dog close behind him. Come on, sweetie, it's time to go. I balled on my fist to keep from laying hands on her butt. What the hell did she know about it? She had no idea of the hell I went through during that time. To sit here and judge me. Now she was trying to walk away before I said my piece. Hell no. Nah, little sister, don't run away, cause you don't know the whole story. I was in a sticky situation. She waved her hand, cutting me off. Please, Ty. I don't need to know the whole story. I know my sister. It's always about you. It was my turn to fold my arms across my chest. Her words hitting home because it was the same words Monroe told me last night. It ain't like that, was all I could say. But see, when you raised in a house like mine, Yah's word was always in your head. Scriptures say, by the mouth of 2 or more witnesses, let all things be established. Both of them saying these words had me feeling a certain way. You know, I've had many images of myself, but never one of selfishness. It is like that, she ruthlessly continued. Everybody and their mama saw how much that boy loved you, but you was too selfish to even for a minute risk anything for his love. It's always been about your fears, your feelings. What about him, Ty? What was he afraid of? Did you even know? Do you think that loving you came risk-free? He knew that there was a good chance our daddy may have killed him, but yet he still loved you. So look at that. He was willing to risk his life. What about you, Songbird? You ain't never been willing to take any risk for him, and that's the problem. So you gonna sit here and say to me that Malachi off for thinking I would make a good wife? Well, Monroe, he a damn fool for falling in love with somebody that can't see past herself to even notice him. So how about this? Before you judge me, how about you first try to make your husband a halfway decent wife? I don't know how. The truth escaped my lips before I could pull it back. He say he don't even love me no more, I continued. Gina rolled her eyes. Come on, Ty. You Butta baby's daughter. Have you ever seen Dad being able to stay mad at her? The kind of love Monroe had for you don't just die. I don't care what his mouth says. She shrugged, reminding me so much of our mama. Give of yourself. You'll be amazed how far that can go. She rolled her eyes at me one last time, just to let me know how truly disgusted she was with me. Come on, baby, she said, taking little Jacob's hand and walking out the front door. The little heifer had the nerve to slam it. It took me a minute to get myself together. My little sister ain't never, told me off like that, which meant she must be really going through something serious. I didn't even know Gina had that in her. I went after her to yell at her for slamming the door, but came up short at the sight of JD walking towards the door. He wore a smile on his face. I rolled my eyes at him and looked towards my sisters retreating back. Only children slam doors like they got a problem, I yelled. Do you know she held up her middle finger at me? Yeah, real mature.
Wow. Are you guys fighting?
JD asked. Still good and aggravated, I frowned at him. Well, aren't you the brightest bulb in the box? How can I help you? He held up his hands.
Whoa. I didn't do it. I just came because the boss told me to give you a lift to choir rehearsal.
That just sunk my mood the rest of the way. I had way too much on my mind to have to deal with this. Oh, no, JD. You know what? I ain't even feeling good. So I'm gonna have to catch, rehearsal another day. I went to shut the door in his face, but he put his hand in to stop it.
Sorry, Chica. It's non-negotiable.
I stared up at him, sizing him up. You see, I felt like fighting. It was hard being told off by one's little sister, especially when you knew deep down in your soul her words were true. I had been selfish. My little brat of a sister was right about that. The fear of him being too handsome for me, the fear of him cheating on me, has always caused me to hold back my love for him. And damn, it's true. He was willing to risk everything. My dad and my brother's wrath, even his own father's anger. He was willing to risk it all for me. Gina thought I was selfish, but the truth was far worse. I had been a coward.
You look like you're gonna sock me,
the Hispanic man said. I grunted. I'm thinking about it. He chuckled.
Please don't. My Isha loves my pretty face.
He ran his hand through his beard.
If you mess it up, I can't be held accountable for what she do.
I chuckled. JD had a little sense of humor about him, pretending that I would get low in on him was funny. Like I thought yesterday, he was a warrior. Moments ago, he had been on the beach with the other men. It was he who fought with Monroe, as if he was the only one with enough skill to not be hurt by the advanced warrior. I exhaled. This was going to be a tough day. Hold on, let me get my guitar, I told him before I ran back into the house to grab it. As I got into the front seat of the Jeep, Dog hopped into the back. So, how long have you known Monroe? I asked as we drove down the mountain.
I first met him 8 years ago in a small town in Argentina. He and I traveled together for about a year before he disappeared. I showed up here about 2 years ago with my wife and a small group of people, and surprisingly, he was here.
Wow, Argentina? What in the world was he doing all the way down there? He shook his head.
He didn't talk much back then, just grumbled about needing to get back to Chicago. When I first met him, I can remember thinking I had never met a man so tormented by the voices in his head. At first, I thought he was crazy, because for a blind man, he was so deadly, yet determined. He moved as if he could see. I couldn't understand it. He had this single focus, and he let nothing stand in his way. He and I fought many battles together. He was like no other warrior I had ever seen before. Blind yet vicious. His violence was breathtaking. And yet, he could turn it off like a faucet. Once, we stumbled upon a small town that was overrun with blood fiends. I didn't want to go in, and I told him so. I said, man, it's too dangerous. But he said it was something he needed in that town. He told me to just wait for him to return. But of course, that was never an option. So we went into the town, and we must have slain hundreds of them. I stood surrounded by bodies as he took off and scaled the walls of this abandoned apartment building like damn Superman or something, before he disappeared into one of the windows. Now, I wanted to stop him because a big apartment building like that is the most dangerous place you could be. But I shouldn't even worried about it. A few minutes later, he came out the downstairs lobby door. In one hand, he held his sword that dripped fresh blood, and in the other, a small bottle of perfume that was half filled. It took my mind a while to wrap around what I was seeing. We had nearly been killed for a bottle of perfume.
I frowned. I could see how that would make Monroe look crazy. What in the world had he been thinking? Did you ever ask him why he did such a thing? He nodded as he pulled his Jeep over in front of a building that read the music room.
I did.
And what did he say? He turned to look at me then, and it was something in his gaze that caused me to brace myself.
He said that it was his wife's favorite kind.
For a moment, the only thing I could do was stare at him. And then I felt a sharp pain in my stomach. Did JD just punch me? Dear Yah, my heart. Gina's words came back to me loud and clear. I turned my head so that JD couldn't see the tears in my eyes. Oh my goodness. That explained all the little trinkets in my bathroom and in my room. My favorite shampoo. My favorite conditioner. And yes, there was a half a bottle of perfume. Jasmine. My favorite. There was a Borit with a strawberry on it. My favorite fruit. My body had gone numb. Why would a man who claimed to no longer love me do such a thing?
This is it, Iman Jacqueline's place,
JD said quietly.
Just go right through those doors. I think they rehearse in the auditorium on the left.
I nodded and opened the door. The only thing I could do was hold up my hand and thank him for the lift. My emotions were a wreck. Dog walked close to me as if she could sense my agony. I was so confused. He told me he no longer loved me. Yet, his actions, they proved differently. Why would he risk his life?
Hey, Ty!
My head shot up as the sound of Heman's voice pulled me out of my thoughts. He, Dope Boy, Bass, Jazz, and Keys was walking down the beautiful street towards me. All of them except Dope Boy carried their instruments in their hands. I smiled, truly happy to see them. Hey, y'all. Oh man, it's so good to see y'all. I hugged each one of them. Where's Karen and the girls? I asked Jazz as we walked into the building. Instantly, the smell of musical instrument polish filled my nostrils. The inside of the building was very basic. Brown walls, a few plants. There was a long hall to the left where there seemed to be other rooms. Somewhere in the building, someone was playing the organ.
They're at the house with Mama Leah,
Jazz said, pulling my attention away from looking around the music house. Mama Leah? So, everything is good there. It's a good environment for the girls. He smiled big.
It's a blessing, sis. She is really nice, and her house is huge. It's enough room for the girls to run around and play. Karen even has a kitchen to cook in again.
His words stalled.
It's almost unbelievable. I never thought we would find someplace like this. It feels as if, I don't know, it feels as if we're on a different planet or something.
I rubbed his arm. Hallelujah. I'm glad to hear the girls and Karen is okay. What about you guys? I asked Heman, Doe, and Keys.
It's alright,
Doe said, but he was the only one that thought so. Both Heman and Keys wore frowns. What? I asked them.
One they call the blind swordsman hates us.
Heman supplied. Oh wow, that's my role. I frowned. Why do you say that?
'Cause it's true. He called us effeminate, said we need to man up.
I put my hand over my mouth to hide the laugh that was trying to escape my lips. Wow, that's so mean, I told them. But I could have guessed Monroe would feel that way about them. So would have my dad and Gideon and even Dawid. Keys and Heman would have rubbed them all the wrong way. And it wasn't that they were gay. They were just really in touch with their feminine side.
Meanwhile, he didn't have a problem with Doughboy.
Keys grumbled. I smiled at Doe, who held his head up a little.
Yeah, hey, it's because all this masculinity is hard to deny.
I did laugh at that. Doughboy was just that, chubby and cuddly. He reminded me of a teddy bear. Fierce warrior, not so much. Well, it doesn't matter what he thinks, I told Heman, trying to make him feel better.
The hell it doesn't. He run this town. What he says goes. If he says it, they'll kick us out.
I took his hand. Don't worry about that. Remember, it's 'cause the band that we're here. So don't stress about them kicking us out. My gaze fell on Bass, our ever silent friend. How is things going for you? I asked gently. Surprisingly, his lips lifted in a one-sided grin before he nodded his head once. Wow, that's a lot for him. Things must be really going good for him as well. I was happy for them. It looked like they were all going to be alright. Me and Gina, on the other hand, I was not so sure of. Are you guys here for choir rehearsal? A very pretty, bubbly young lady asked as she walked towards us down the hall.
Yes, we are,
Jess responded. Oh great, follow me. We followed her back down the hall. A few of the rooms we passed, their doors were slightly ajar. They looked like small, private music rooms. They even had a few instruments in them. My name is Maya, and I am super psyched to meet you guys. I heard what you did over at the courthouse yesterday. I am so excited. I can't wait to hear you perform, she said as she opened the door to a huge auditorium. There were about 30 people inside. They hummed, warming up their voices to the tune the organ player strummed. However, when we walked through the door, they all came to a stop and turned to look at us. Look, everybody, it's the Tranquil Band in our auditorium, Maya called excitedly as we walked in and took seats off toward the back far right. Stiffly, we waved, feeling super awkward. Well, all of us except for Keys, who had been famous before the flare hit. He wore a $1 million smile and waved as if his mere presence was a favor to us all.
This is going to be torture,
Heman muttered as he slid in the pew-like seat next to me. Who you telling? I responded, not in the mood for this at all. I felt as if I had reached a point in my life where I needed to prove I wasn't just a waste of space. Okay, I can admit it. Maybe Gina was not my father's only spoiled daughter. When I was young, maybe I was a little selfish. It was true. Monroe had always been there for me. I had gotten so used to him being there for me that I forgot to be there for him. But I wasn't that little girl anymore. I'm a woman now that has survived some horrible situations and come out, for the most part, unscathed. And I know that all praises for that goes to Yah. But one can't go through those kind of things without being changed. Monroe and Gina had me wrong. I was no longer about me anymore. I felt that it was a long past time for me to give back. Gina said that the love Monroe had for me didn't die. I couldn't help but wonder if I just threw caution to the wind and gave freely of myself, if maybe it would cause him to love me again. Gina was right about one thing. I am but a baby's daughter, and there was an art to being a woman, an art that my mom had taught us well. Could I do it? Could I throw caution to the wind? What is going on in here? And how come I don't hear you warming up your voices? A heavy-set woman that had to be around my age hissed as she came into the room. She was assisting an older woman that walked with a cane. My eyes widened when I saw who the older woman was. Oh my goodness, y'all! That's Jacqueline Hill! I whispered like a straight-up groupie. Jacqueline Hill was my all-time favorite singer. Before the flare hit, I had all her albums. When she was younger, she was known for her fierce flow as well as her beautiful voice. She was the only female in her group that outlaws, and if truth be told, was the reason anybody bought their albums. Like me, her voice had been blessed by Yah. In fact, we all suspected she was in this truth because her music was always very positive and spiritual. She rapped and sang about the word often. Look, Pam, it's the Tranquil Band, Maya said to the woman that was assisting Ema Jacqueline. Pam rolled her eyes. I don't care who it is. You all should be going through your voice exercises. Her gaze fell on me for a moment, but she wore a look as if I stunk. One monkey, don't stop no show.
It looked like you got yourself an enemy,
Kimon muttered. It does, doesn't it? I responded. I couldn't help but be amused. I didn't even know this woman. What had I done to garner such a response from a stranger? However, I didn't ponder on it too long because Jacqueline Hill began to slowly walk towards us. She had to be in her late 70s, early 80s. She began making music when my mother was a little girl. All right, on your feet, Pam called to the other choir members as she made her way to the front of the room. I elbowed Hema. She's coming our way.
I see that,
He muttered. Well, now, I finally get to lay eyes on the songbird, she said when she made it to us. Her voice was gentle with age. I grinned so hard, my cheeks hurt. It is an honor to meet you. I am your biggest fan, I told her. I had all your albums. She smiled. Oh no, child, the honor is all mine. Yah's lights surround this group, she said, looking at the space around us. What did you think of your bedroom wall? She asked. The music notes. Did you do that? With a smile on her face, she nodded. Me and my assistant, she gestured towards Pam. It is beautiful. This morning the notes sang to me. She stood with both her hands leaning against her cane. Do you want to sit down? I asked. She shook her head. Nah, I sit down all day. I need to exercise. I just want you to take care of my boy. Who? Monroe? She nodded. He has a special place in my heart. Before you came, Pam and I tried to make sure he ate, you know. I smiled. That was nice of them. Leave it to my role to steal a woman like Jacqueline Hill's heart. I don't understand what all the hubbub is about. Can she even sing? Pam called from up on the stage. We all turned to look at her. She wore such a look of hate on her face, I opened my mouth in shock. Why was this woman attacking me? Ema Jacqueline turned back to look at me. Oh, don't worry none about Pam. She fancies herself in love with Monroe. And in her mind, she's the world's best singer. I mean, everybody is making such a big deal. But can she sing? She cried out before she opened her mouth and nearly shook the rafters with her strong voice. Pam can sing. She reminded me of Mahalia Jackson. She sang several notes, and when she stopped, she wore a catty smile on her face that said she knew how good she was, and she wasn't in the least bit worried about me. Pam sang from somewhere deep in the pit of her belly. She sang with the strength that most thought only our heavy-set sisters can produce. My eyes fell on Ema Jacqueline. That was one of the things that made her voice so unique. She too was capable of holding such a range. And when she was younger, she was just as thin as me. Everybody turned to look at me, including Jacqueline Hill. They all wanted to know if I could compete. Wow.
Get her, Ty.
My band members said underneath their breaths. Hema nudged my shoulders.
Don't let her get away with that. Get her.
I turned to look at them. Not today, guys. I ain't really feeling it. I was in no mood to compete in these little games. I felt depleted. My life was a chaotic mess. Pam didn't have to worry about me. I was being forced to be here. I had no desire to steal her thunder. I held up my hand. Hi, Pam. Yes. Amazing voice. You have an amazing voice. We're just here because we were told we were going to be stoned if we didn't come. So just carry on and pretend like you don't even see us. Then it's true. All the hype everybody is speaking is just that. Hype. She flipped her braids. I knew you was trash when I saw you. Ema Jacqueline turned to look at me. Is it true? Are you trash? Well. Okay, first, I like to let the record reflect that I tried to do the right thing. And you know, sometimes people just didn't let you. I stood. A big mischievous grin spread across Ema Jacqueline's face as she hurried to take a seat next to her choir members. Well, you look at that. My favorite singer in the whole world was a little bit of a trickster. Well, I guess that's our cue, boys. It appears as if the Ema would like to see what we can do. I told my band, who all eagerly stood. With a smug smile on her face, Pam stepped aside as we got situated on the stage. I pulled Songbird off my back, holding up my fist to let my boys know to follow me. We were going to go off the cuff a little bit here. For a moment, I closed my eyes and I thought about Monroe. I thought about him saying he didn't love me with his lips, but his actions telling a different story. And then I began to sing a song from a group that I dug before the flare hit. I could have sung a song as strong as Mrs. Pam's and showed everyone how powerful my voice could get, but I didn't. You see, unlike Pam, I knew what I was capable of, and I didn't need to prove it. My parents had been blessed by Abiyah, and he had blessed their children. We were raised with a constant warning from them. Your gift is from the Father. The day you forget that and begin to think of it as your own, it's the day you lose it. So I didn't sing to show Pam off. I sang because I was tormented on the inside and I needed clarity. And you know what? Y'all gave it to me too. A resolve settled over me. I am but a baby's daughter. And Monroe's lips told lies. I was going to prove it. I was going to make him love me again. I was going to introduce him to the grown-up version of me. The version of me that knew how to give completely of myself. The version of me that needed to help him heal. When I was done with him, he would love me more than he loved me before. And y'all willing, when I was done with him, he would be the Monroe we all remembered and loved. Pray for me, 'cause it ain't gonna be easy.